Right. So this is a bit of a rant video. I wasn't like supposed to do this video like at all, but I hadn't played League for like how many months, and after playing it once again for like how long? Oh my God, I played for ages. Um, I figured that I have to say this all right now because I will not get another chance to say this later on because I feel like if I don't say this now, um, later on it's just gonna keep getting worse. The problems I have. So uh, this video is out of place. I know I was supposed to release other videos. I will still release them. They're still being made. Hopefully like I'll finish them. Blah blah blah. Yeah, onto the video. So yeah, I hadn't played League for like how many months. I jumped back on a while ago and I started playing Azir, and I was a bit surprised when I found out that he's one of the most played and present champions in pro play, and like and high ranks and shit. Cause I was just sitting there, I was like, this doesn't feel fun. Not necessarily fun, not necessarily strong. It just doesn't feel like he should be up in that phase. I was versing a lot of assassins. So that's probably why. I had a game with an Evelyn in it, and I just got fucking wrecked. It was so painful. So I was sitting there. I was just like, why is this champion as relevant as he is? Doesn't make sense because he hasn't like been buffed. He hasn't like changed anything, and it turns out he's only strong because everyone around him was gibbed. Every other like control mid laner, every champion that fulfills a very similar role to Azir just was shit in comparison to actually picking Azir. Um, so I was very upset about that because I don't think Azir should be strong because he's a byproduct of everyone being weak. I think Azir should be strong because he's strong for himself. But the balance team is so scared to touch him because they don't know what they want him to be. And I feel like that just sucks to me. And I want you know how long it's been before like an actual Azir buff that was like really good, really strong, that you really felt that you're like, holy shit, this champion's dominant again. This champion is amazing to play again. Azir hasn't had that point at all, and it's because they don't touch him, and when they do touch him, they fucking nerf him to the ground to the point in which it's actually kind of ridiculous. So I want to talk about that. I want to talk about all these past Azir nerfs that have passed like just headache inducing trying to play this champion in a meta that doesn't really allow for him because he's way too weak. He's never at a stage where he's comfortable. And that's because they don't know what to do with this champion because he can do everything at once. Now, I want to before I continue, I want to say that I have been playing League since season 5. I started playing Azir midway through that, and so we are now season 9. So that's 4 years of just playing Azir. Um, he's my most played champion. I love this champion to death. Every single part of his kit is fantastic. I love his idea. I love the design. I love the shurima shuffle. Shurima shuffle is one of my favorite things to do on him. But it's where I'm gonna start losing people. They need to get rid of it. They need to remove the shurima shuffle, or else Azir will never be balanced. Now, I know saying that kind of sounds weird. That kind of sounds fucking stupid. That removing the most fun part of a champion's kit is if it sounds stupid, removing that core uh that core identity of a champion. But the biggest problem about Azir is that they don't know what to do with him because he lacks an identity. I forgot when it was, but they were discussing on how to balance Azir because it's very he was very relevant in pro play again. But they were like, look, we could either stick to our original design philosophy for Azir, make him a backlane like Emperor of the Sands and just completely wreck everyone late game and shit, or we could make him we could support the shurima shuffle and forget like our design philosophy and lower his range, but allow him to continue drifting in the sand and drift and just do a lot of plays where he ults them back into the team and all that stuff. And at the time, I agreed that hey, the shurima shuffle is a very important part to his kit, and I think that it should stay. Um, I forgot when this was, but we are now how many patches in, how many seasons later, and things have not gotten better for this champion because of that single like idea that we need to focus on keeping the Shroom Shuffle and just fuck everything else because that's not what Azir should be. Azir should be a backline bomber, AD carry style mid laner that that can do a high amount of AoE damage and a lot of control and a lot of zoning and allow for disengage when everything's get too close. I 100% respect that idea. What I do not respect is that Azir is now this hybrid jack of all trades, master of none, fucking engage, disengage. Uh, just he's too much and the counterpoint to this has always been, oh well, Azir is very hard to play, and he's very hard to get going. So this kind of balances out. But because League is now way focused on pro play instead of casual and just quick play and like and normal draft pick, as Azir is then balanced more towards competitive play. So it's making him harder without realizing that he's already hard, that he already has this horrible win loss pick ratio, and um, it does they keep balancing him so it's harder to play in pro play than in casual, and it sucks because I'd argue that more people play him casually than they do in pro play. For like how long Azir hasn't like shown up, and the moment he shows up now, they just nerf him, and it sucks. Now this nerf wasn't a very big nerf. I was really scared because I thought they were nerfing him his soldier range, and that was gonna piss me off, because that basically ruins like a core identity of Azir. And but thankfully they didn't do that. They just nerfed his cooldowns, which isn't enough to I think remove him from pro play. But still, it's testament. It's idea to the fact that because he's showing up more, they nerfed the parts that make him that make him his design philosophy, and I think that that's because they want to keep the Shurima Shuffle in the game. That's why all the nerfs have been directly towards the original design philosophy of Azir, and I think that's why he lacks an identity. Azir needs to remove the shuffle because it contradicts way too much of his original kit. Um, all of a sudden, when you're able to press Q while you're in E, you open up way too many possibilities. You can position yourself further in like in and out of danger. You you're you can engage enemies at times when you're not supposed to. You're squishy, yes, but you've got all these tools to keep yourself alive in the event that you do choose to shuffle. And every part of his kit that has been changed directly supports this, and it means that he never actually can be balanced because you've got way too many parts moving against one another. If you remove the shuffle, you can go, hey, we have this champion, let's focus on this idea. But if you continue to support the shuffle, uh, you've just got a champion who can never really be strong because you've got too much to think about. You got to think about way too much. Think of it as like think about like when they were designing all these other champions. Like let's take Kale, yeah. Let's take the recent Kale rework. Uh, they had to think, hey, are we gonna have this champion stay as this uh, early game like weird hybrid of a AD carry, a weird like AP AD carry support, or are we gonna fully engage with the idea that she is a hyper carry late game but shit early game, and they saw that, and they sure they might be changing a bit of her, but they saw that and went, hey, let's just go all out into the late game carry phase, and I'm okay with that. Like, I love that idea. I love how champions can be good either early or late game, and everything can be built around that. But even though Azir has a shit early game, it's not shit enough to where it hits that point. But his late game isn't as strong as it should be for the champion design that he has. Um, and it is because of that shurima shuffle. Um, all the nerfs, like, I can think of a handful of nerfs that have been to the wall that have removed its defensive capabilities, uh, because if you want to support the shurima shuffle, you have to remove the defensive parts of the kit in order for that engage aggressive play to be acceptable. He can no longer bounce people back when they dash, which was a massive blow to a lot of Azir's matchups. Yasuo was one of his. Well, you could pick a Azir into Yasuo, and that would be one of the best counters because there is no way a Yasuo could win that matchup anymore. Now he has a chance because he can get dash through that wall. Champions like LeBlanc, they would actually struggle a decent amount against Azir. But now LeBlanc is actually a really strong counter against Azir just because she can go through the wall. They removed Azir's knockup, which in a way was one of his only forms of CC other than the ult, and you had to sacrifice basically your only defensive part of your kit in order to cancel out something. Let's say Katarina comes at you, you have to actively drift into her using your ult, or you could just knock her out with your E. Now you actually always have to use the ulti, or else you're gonna get fucked. Um, they removed the size of the ulti. You can no longer the size of the ulti was too big because if it gets bigger and bigger, the shuffle becomes way too strong. You can close off entire parts of the map. Uh, like they removed his old passive, which was the attack speed steroid, which basically meant that it would make his early game stronger if you pick the right range masteries of right builds. But now they have to remove that because if you're going to have this engagive character, you're gonna want to make sure that he stays relatively weak early games. That way, when he comes to the team fights, he's really strong. Um, oh my god, they just removed a lot of his kit. You can't cast soldiers on turrets because he shouldn't be a sieging character as well as he is, which sucks. I think that was like absolutely horrible. I remember that change happened and I just felt destroyed because I love that part. Um, fuck, man. They actually, like, now that I think about it, they have given so much of this champion in honor of the shuffle, and a lot of the design philosophies no longer suit him. So whether or not you think that the shuffle is a fun part of his kit, I think that it is the thing that's holding him back the most. And once you remove that, all of a sudden you can just think, hey, we want this champion to be a long range bomber, and we should leave it like that. No other champion exists like Azir. The closest champion I'd probably say is Orianna, but Azir right now in his current state blurs the lines between Orianna and Azir way too much. They both serve very similar purposes with the exception of how they engage. All right, like Orianna doesn't have to be in a team fight, Azir does, and but like just the way you position the balls, the soldiers, and all that stuff, they're very similar. And but when you remove the shuffle, all of a sudden Azir doesn't become very Orianna like. He becomes his own character. He's got an identity. Um, so that's this is all just ramble. This is all just me like after playing this year and just hating it. I actually this champion was not fun to play over the time I played him. He just didn't feel as fun as fluid as I want him to be. Sure, he's still like my favorite champion and he still has a very methodical way to play, but it's too much, man. Like I remember, I couldn't play him, um, like a back range bomber because his range has been given way too much. Um, I basically always have to do a shurima shuffle if I wanna play, and I kind of hate that. His ulti doesn't feel like it's there to disengage anymore. It just feels like it's there to start a fight, and then like when they're all grouped up, and it kind of sucks. And like champions like Lee Sin who have the same ability have it because like have it in ways that they can do it. Oh, you could insect with this, or you could execute with it. It's a way to execute people. Tristana actually like has an aggressive, offensive, defensive way of use, and with Azir, I can't do that anymore. It actually sucks ass, man. I'm so tired of this, man. I'm so tired of having to play Azir in a very nerfed form. I want him to be to be a fun champion again. I don't know how many other Azir mains feel this way. I I feel like I'm not the only one that does. I saw a Reddit post a while ago that was detailing all this. I'll probably link that down in the description. I don't agree with the way he said to rework stuff because I feel like that's a bit too much. It doesn't necessarily counter his design philosophy, but it does feel weird. But yeah, I know a lot of it probably didn't make sense, and a lot of it was just me repeating myself over and over again. Uh, leave a comment down below if you want to argue with me about this. And yeah, please remove the Shuriman Shuffle, or else Azir will never be fun. Azir will never be balanced for it. And yeah, fuck it.